the chairperson of UNEB to officially present the PLE results to the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports.
The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, it is my great pleasure and privilege to present the 2022 Primary Leaving Examinations PLE for release to the nation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A bigger round of applause to the UNEB team. And an exceptional round of applause to the First Lady, our Ministers of State, and the Permanent Secretary for the able leadership. Thank you very much. I would like to take this singular honor to invite the Minister of State for Education, in charge of primary education, to invite the First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports to give her address and officially release the results. Thank you.
Mama, our First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, my colleague, the Honorable Minister of State in charge of higher education, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, the Chairperson, UNEB, the Executive Director, UNEB, all the senior members of staff of the Ministry of Education and UNEB, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Our God is great, and we are here yet again to taste and see the goodness of the Lord. Why not to give him a mighty clap? Thank you. Mama, I've been called to invite you to address the nation. However, permit me, before inviting you, to give 2 points. 1, today is yet another milestone in the history of NRM government, and under your able leadership, Mama, as the head of education sector, on behalf of the education fraternity and on my own behalf, permit me to congratulate you, Mama, our candidates, our parents, our teachers, as we celebrate the release of PLE result 2022. Let's give a mighty clap. Thank you. We do not take this achievement for granted. Mama, your visionary leadership and strategic directives at the Ministry of Education and Sports has made it possible for us to work hard as a team and to see the results that we are releasing today. The Bible tells us from the book of Matthew, chapter 7, to be like a wise man who built his house on a rocky foundation, and the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it has been founded on a rocky, solid foundation. Similarly, Mama, you have built the Ministry of Education and Sports on a rocky foundation, a strong, solid foundation based on Christian values and integrity, team spirit, commitment, transparency, and accountability in all that we do. Much as there are challenges and shortcomings, where there is the will, there is the way. By the grace of God, we will always overcome those challenges. The timely conclusion of the examination process, indeed, is a confirmation that UNEB is always prepared to perform despite the challenges they go through. UNEB ensures the exercise is not interrupted and results are released timely. Point number 2, Mama, permit me to thank our fountain of honor, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for the vision of having universal primary education for all our children. We salute him for being the brainchild behind the UPE program. Because of the UPE, which started in 1997, the literacy rate has improved significantly from 43%, and currently it stands at 76%. This strategy has now seen the numbers in UPE enrollment increased from 2.5 million in 1996 to 3.1 million learners in 1997 when UPE was brought on board. And now the enrollment stands at 8.7 million learners in government-aided schools who are getting UPE capitation grants. Overall, Mama, we have a total of 10.3 million learners in primary education in Uganda. This significant increase in primary school enrollment is an indication that the payment of fees was a big impediment for a poor rural family. Today, as you release the results, Mama, we realize 70.1% of the candidates were registered, enrolled in UPE schools. And I'm happy to inform the nation that government policy on education is to ensure one primary school per parish. Currently, out of the 10,595 parishes in Uganda, 90% parishes have got primary schools, while 10% of the parishes do not have primary schools. And this is simply because of the new administrative units that have been created in the recent years. Mama, the UPE program in Uganda demonstrates that the poor country can fight poverty through ensuring universal access to education for their citizens. After achieving universal access to education, our focus now is on the quality of education, as we've seen from the results of UPE. As I conclude, Mama, to our parents, being a parent is an incredible blessing from the Lord. Raising children and watching them grow in their potential and personality can bring a great joy in the family. In the book of Psalm 127, it is written, "Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him." Proverbs 29 tells us, Parents, discipline your children, and they will give you peace. Peace of mind and make your hearts happy. As parents, we have cardinal duty from God to be responsible and take full responsibility towards the education of our children. I'm therefore appealing to all parents to register all children and let them come to school at the beginning of this year on Monday, 6 February 2023. Finally, Mama, as we celebrate our children, our parents, our learners, we also remember to celebrate and appreciate your neighbor officials, hundreds of security personnel, and all those who participated in the process of examination to its logical conclusion. Mama, the nation is waiting. Our children are eagerly waiting for your message. It's now my duty and honor to invite you to address the nation and thereafter officially release the results. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put hands together to welcome Mama as she comes to address the nation. We thank you. Long live Mama, long live our candidates, long live Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kabichu. My colleagues, Ministers of State for Education, the PS for the Ministry of Education, the Chairperson of UNEB, Professor Mero Kwakor, the Executive Director, UNEB, Mr. Dan Odong, and your team, the media, fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to you all. Our hearts are full of gratitude to God for bringing us to this day as a sector and as a nation. Our children returned safely back to school and were able to complete the year despite a number of challenges, including the Ebola outbreak, and affected our people. Indeed, we no longer take these achievements, and we shouldn't take these achievements for granted. Today, we celebrate a total of 832,659 candidates who registered for PLE. Compared, as you heard from the speakers before me, compared the 749,761 in 2020. Now, despite the disruptions occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic and the Ebola outbreak, especially on the girl child, we continue to register good numbers at this and other levels of education, and we cannot thank God enough for this. And I know that many people speak freely about education with no much evidence about what they are talking about. But we want Uganda to hear that in spite of all this, education in the country is doing well, and we continue to register good numbers at this and other levels of education, and we cannot thank God at all enough for it. What is even more gratifying is that of the registered number, 583,768, which means 70.1%, from 11,306 centers were universal primary education beneficiaries, UPE, and 248,982, meaning 29.9%, are the candidates from the non-UPE schools. These statistics, therefore, indicate the rising confidence the people of Uganda have put in UPE. Since the proportion of candidates benefiting from the Universal Primary Education Program has increased last year by 1.7%. So, as UPE marks 25 years this year, it is very heartwarming to know that our people have and continue to benefit from this government service, this program of universal primary education. We are all grateful, therefore, to God for the fact that registration of the PLE in 2022 increased by a larger percentage than ever before, despite the fears voiced by many over the possible massive dropouts of the learners due to the circumstances prevailing at the time. I'm also pleased to note an increase in the registration of candidates with special needs from 1,599 in 2020 to 2,436 in 2022, which is an increase of 52.3%, representing the largest rate of increase of children of this category witnessed in the PLE registration. Of these children, 1,153, or 47.3%, are females, and 1,283, meaning 52.7%, are boys. Consequently, I acknowledge with gratitude the fact that more parents are realizing the value of education the girl child, even with special needs, has in a family. Thank you for the investment you have made in your children and for believing in them, by God's grace. Indeed, your encouragement gives them the confidence that they can rise and shine to fulfill God's destiny for their lives, just like any other child can. At the national level, I must pay tribute to the chairperson, the board and staff of UNEB for successfully conducting the PLE 2022 in the face of several challenges, as all of us know. Furthermore, my sincere appreciation goes to the security and field personnel, district local governments, and all the stakeholders that tirelessly serve our nation by supporting the PLE examination and the rollout, the execution of the examination and the rollout. They achieved this during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they have done it again. So we can only say thank you. On behalf of the Ministry of Education and Sports, I'd like to express our gratitude to the President and all the key stakeholders in the health sector for their support in ensuring the safety of learners as the country faced yet another outbreak of the Ebola virus. At a crucial time when our learners prepared to write this examination, this outbreak had the potential of disrupting the education system as a whole, and in particular, the exam period. Now, let me turn also to my observation of the results we released today. I have noticed from the statement of results that the rate of absenteeism of learners who had initially registered for the PLE and which has been steadily declining in the last 4 years has also increased again by 0.8%, approximately 8,000 learners. There is need to inquire into the cause of this increase in absenteeism, since it does a great disservice to the nation, to the families, and in particular the children who make the effort to invest resources, time and their energies to attend school for 7 whole years, for these young people to miss out on sitting their examination and the opportunity to move to the next level of their education is truly unfortunate. It's painful, and cumulatively, it's a loss to all of us and the nation. Similarly, the ministry is concerned about the low rate of completion at primary school level, which currently stands at 32%. I appeal to you all to note that completion of the learner's education cycle should be considered as a priority and a collective effort of the schools, of parents and guardians, as well as the community in general. I therefore call upon all schools and the education sector stakeholders in every district to look into this matter and address the root cause. As a ministry, we're going to take this on and find some solutions. We want to inform the country with certainty what we know about what is bringing this dropout rate, so that if there is a way we can put an end to it, we do it as government. And we will not stop until we inform the country about what we consider to be our solution. I also appeal to the parents and guardians to play an active role in providing both the physical and emotional support children require during the course of their education and the examination period. Please work together to ensure that no child loses the opportunity for a bright future by missing classes and dropping out of school or being absent during the examination period. Once a child is enrolled in school, they should and must complete their education cycle. Once a child is registered for an examination, that child must sit for that examination. No child should be disadvantaged. Ladies and gentlemen, I am, however, happy to note that compared to the previous year, 2021, this year the candidates' performance has generally improved, as is evidenced in higher percentages of scores with distinction and credit grades. In particular, the English language examination registered significant improvement in performance at the distinction and credit levels. Likewise, there is an increase in performance in mathematics at the distinction and credit pass levels compared to the previous year. Hence, in terms of numbers, many more children passed the 2022 PLE compared to the previous year. And for that we thank God. This is gratifying as we steadily recover from the effects of COVID-19 on the economy and well-being of the people. So I applaud the stakeholders in the education sector for this achievement indeed. As government, we assure the parents and guardians that we will continue to work with our institutions and the private providers of education to ensure that those who qualify for admission into post-primary institutions are placed in the secondary schools and the post-primary vocational institutions. Now, sadly, I have to address the problem of examination malpractices. As a Ministry of Education, we continue to express our deep concern over this vice. This year, there were a number of suspected incidences of external assistance of candidates. Unfortunately, this includes teaching staff who should be the custodians and role models of integrity and trustworthiness. I'd like to remind all our teaching staff now that these young people look up to them and replicate what you model before them. We must therefore demonstrate utmost discipline when fulfilling our roles and functions. Indeed, this is a universal requirement of humanity and in particular, the education profession. Furthermore, none of our cultural or religious beliefs condone cheating or dishonesty. In Titus chapter 2, verses 7 to 8, the Bible states, in quotes, "You yourselves must be an example to them by doing good works of every kind. Let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. Teach the truth so that your teaching cannot be criticized." Unquote. I therefore sound a strong warning to all head teachers who have been found attempting to institutionalize cheating by cutting open questions paper envelopes to access the questions before time, the question papers prior to the designated examination time, to desist this evil. The Ministry of Education and Sports will not tolerate examination malpractices, and we have said this many times, almost every year, as was witnessed during the 2022 PLE. Our scouts and security personnel assigned to oversee examinations and will cause the arrest, as you heard from my colleague before me, of all those engaged in examination malpractice. Please know that it will not be business as usual now, because now, as you heard from Mr. Udong, the UNEB Act of 2021 is out. It provides for punitive action for those found guilty of participating in and condoning this practice. I have the faith and confidence that our judicial officers will accord appropriate sentences to those found guilty, and we are hopeful that this is the first time that example will be seen out in the public, so that people may know that this can no longer be accepted or cannot be business as usual anymore. I also acknowledge the fact that prevention is key to ending this vice. Consequently, I strongly appeal to the UNEB officials to purposefully engage all the relevant stakeholders and duty bearers in order to identify the areas of weaknesses and gaps that facilitate this vice and address them. We must exert a deliberate and concerted effort in order to bring an end to these practices. In the meantime, we make the commitment on our part as the Ministry of Education and Sports to provide unwavering support to the efforts of UNEB in this direction. I should also sound a word of caution here to the private providers of education who fail to present candidates to sit the examination that they were registered for, as was the case in Kakumiro district. This is no less than a criminal act, and I hope that by now the perpetrators have been brought to book. District education officials throughout the country must monitor such schools and consider them for closure before they do more harm to our children. No school should put their self-interests before the future and the development of our children in this manner. Action such as these can have lifelong implications on a child's development and academic performance. They cause insecurity and impact negatively on the self-confidence of our children. In this regard, I express my sincere gratitude to the UNEB officials for their consideration of the plight of the 23 learners who almost missed out on the year's examination last year out of no fault of their own. I also affirm the chairperson's position that this act of offering an alternative examination does not create a precedent because the situation in this instance was unique. Finally, and very importantly, let me appeal to the nation that as a sector, we are not blind to the plight of parents and guardians as they grapple with the exorbitant school fees and charges in our schools. This has been a burden for some time. But we don't just talk about this without any firm evidence of what we're talking about. We don't just want to continue to talk about things that are affecting education as if we are doing nothing about them. We recently worked in partnership with the Norwegian Embassy to carry out a study on the UPE program with the main aim of determining whether we need to charge fees or not in our government schools. You may wonder why we focus on the UPE program. But it is because this is where many of our vulnerable families take their children, and we are concerned that all our children access education, not just some. Still on the issue of regulating school fees in our schools, we constituted a committee headed by Professor Kayanja to conduct a study on the hiking of school fees and charges to help us make an informed decision on the way forward. This study brought a number of issues to the fore and is guiding our discussions at the sector level. This week, on Monday, we sought Cabinet's guidance on this issue. Cabinet that all schools maintain the fees structure for third term of 2022 as we await further guidance on government on this matter. Please know that we are aware of the high commodity prices that have greatly affected the cost of running schools and life in general, but we must also be considerate of the plight of those parents and guardians. It is my prayer, therefore, that our schools, government-aided schools, and private schools will adhere to our guidance not to increase school fees in the next term as we all seek a fair and lasting solution to this matter. Yesterday, as the President was addressing the Kakumiro Day, he said to the public, he said that everybody should just stay tuned and wait and listen to what government is going to say about these school charges so that perhaps we can find a lasting solution. So government is really working hard. I want the parents and guardians to know that we understand and we care, and government is working very hard to find that lasting solutions. It is my prayer, therefore, that our schools, the government-aided schools, and even the private schools will adhere now to our guidance not to increase school fees in the next term as we all seek a fair and lasting solution to this matter. In conclusion, I congratulate all the candidates who sat for the PLE. I congratulate the learners who have performed well. My appreciation goes to the school administration, parents and guardians for the support and sacrifices that you render to these children that led to their success. I'm also grateful to all the stakeholders in the education sector, the district leaders, the security personnel who played various roles in ensuring the success of the PLE examination. For those who were not successful with the PLE, I appreciate your courage, your hard work, and the effort you made to sit these exams. But while you have not achieved the grades you desired, I want to encourage you not to lose hope, but to trust in the Lord and believe that this is not the end of the road for you. Therefore, do not give up. Continue to focus on achieving your goals, seek counsel, and take advantage of the other opportunities as well as avenues in the education sector to advance yourself. You should also consider repeating so that you get better grades to enable you to achieve your academic goals. With regard to the selection exercise for Senior 1, this will be held on the 2nd and 3rd Feb 2023 at the Uganda Manufacturers Association Exhibition Hall. The date for reporting to school for Senior 1 will be the 20th of February 2023. It is now my singular pleasure to release the 2022 Primary Living Examination results to the public, and I want to thank you for listening to me. As you have already seen here, thank you, and God bless you.